The return of Landry Shamet and a collective buy-in to pace have proven to be game changers as the Knicks smash the Lakers to win their sixth game in a row.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are locked on to the New York Knicks, who have now won 6 games in a row. Season over. Not so much. I'm Gavin Schall. I'm a New York City native and credentialed media member that's been covering the Knicks for nearly a decade. This is Locked On Knicks, your daily podcast on the Knicks, giving you the most detailed insight on your favorite team at least 5 days a week. We're going 6 this week, so tune in, maybe 7. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcast network in the entire world. On today's show, we are talking the New York Knicks' 6th straight win. Let's go. 112-100 over the Los Angeles Lakers. We're talking about how a commitment to pace, a commitment to Mike Brown's principles have proven to be game changers for the New York Knicks. We are going to talk about Landry Shamet's return, proven to be something that has just totally changed the trajectory of this Knicks season. Not something I really anticipated. We're going to talk about Karl-Anthony Towns still not shooting well, but nailing the little things. Jalen, Brunson, and Josh Hart getting the Knicks out and going. OG Anunoby having another monster game. Tyler Kolek adding into the mix, and a whole lot more here on Locked On Knicks. But first, I got to remind you that today's show is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. All right. Only one place we can start, and I think that is the Knicks' collective commitment to pace. And to me, that does not just mean offensive pace. Yes, they are consistently running off of rebounds. You're seeing the impact a fully healthy Josh Hart can have, consistently turning plays that should not be transition into layups, into pushes that cause transition mismatches that eventually lead to buckets. You are seeing pace in the half court for the New York Knicks in the way they're defending off the ball, and Mikal Bridges just repeatedly like hedging and helping Jalen Brunson out of a mismatch, then recovering. You're seeing flow where Karl-Anthony Towns like is tagging and then stepping up and then sliding his feet on a switch. You're seeing guys falling down. I mean, Cat's a good example of this. I'll expand on it more later. And then sprinting back for a rebound on the other end of the floor. I talked about this a lot with XJ the other day, but it feels like this team, and it's something we noted even when they were losing 9 out of 11, it wasn't that they were playing hard and still losing. It wasn't that they were executing and still losing. It was that they had totally abandoned the way Mike Brown wanted to play. And my bigger concern about Mike Brown and my bigger concern about this team was less so the tactics. Yes, the lineup deployment was less than ideal, but that ultimately wasn't the biggest issue. The biggest issue was that this team did not want to lean into the things that made them great early in the season, and they are committed to an even greater extent than they were earlier in the year. I mean, this is the best defense they played for an extended stretch. You have to go. Maybe I'm forgetting some time last season, and you can remind me in the comments if I am. But to the best of my knowledge, this is the best defense they played since the first month when they traded for OG Anunoby, and they were one of the best defenses in the entire NBA. And then certainly like in the playoffs with that combination of Isaiah Hartenstein and OG Anunoby. But since 23-24, they haven't defended like this, and it is not really one guy. Yes, OG has stepped up and elevated on that end. Yes, like I think Mikal has remained just a fulcrum defensively, like doing the quiet stuff consistently and nailing it. But just across the board, like Jalen Brunson is someone who's putting in second and third efforts in a way you just were not seeing when they were struggling. And to me, to bring this full circle, it is so much about Landry Shamet back and being fully healthy. Yes, this team was embarrassed. Yes, this team clearly, like after it took until the 4th players only meeting, they clearly made a commitment to buy in a different way than they were previously. But I think going from Jordan Clarkson, who, to be fair, should not be the scapegoat for all this, right? On a more functional team with a slightly different roster, Clarkson maybe would have been a really positive contributor this year. And at times he was a really positive contributor, like single-handedly helped drag them to that win over Cleveland on Christmas Day. He's done some great stuff this year. And the Knicks are one injury away from needing him to play well again. But on this team, I think it was a backbreaker to have someone like Jordan Clarkson as an essential piece off your bench, right? One of the worst defenders in the NBA, just not efficient enough or high volume enough on this roster to justify it with the talent that he brings to the table offensively. And you switch that out for someone like Landry Shamet. I am just going to run off a list of all the things Landry Shamet is bringing to the table right now. Shooting, obviously. He is someone who we always talked about on the show as like he's a good shooter. You can't really expect like Dante DiVincenzo, top 5, top 10 in the league shooting. And he's not there, but he's close this year. He's 43.5% from 3, 5 threes per game in just 20.5 minutes per game. You expand those minutes, you expand those numbers to per 36, like his shooting becomes just ridiculous. That is a little bit of an outlier relative to his career norms, which is more like high 30s. We'll see if it keeps it up, but I mean, right now, not showing any signs of faltering there. So you get elite, like A to A plus shooting. You get legitimate secondary ball handling, and not in that like he is going to ISO and like create a shot out of thin air, more so in his ability when an advantage is created for him, he can attack a closeout and make the next pass and relocate and hit a 3. Like he keeps the machine moving in the same way Dante did. And that makes him such a good fit playing off of Jalen Brunson. Right? For those of you, again, the lineup data doesn't really reflect this, but those of you arguing like, hey, if you don't want to start Deuce because he's quote unquote too small, start Landry. Like I'm starting to buy into that being able to work. We have to see how it would look consistently with Landry going against starters versus going against bench guys. But his ability to play out of Jalen Brunson drawing extra attention, Cat drawing extra attention, like whoever it is, like Hart occasionally drawing extra attention, and make defenses pay, whether it's with his shooting, whether it's his shooting inspiring a hard closeout, and then his ability to toast that closeout and scramble the defense further. Like he plays out of advantages exceptionally well and takes small advantages and turns them into big advantages. And that is invaluable. And that is in contrast to Clarkson, who I don't want to say never did that, but was certainly someone who preferred to slow it down, as Will Hardy put it, like play his own song relative to the rest of the team at times. That is so incredibly additive. And then you add in like the screen navigation on defense, the energy plays, right? The offensive rebounds he either gets to or bats out, the diving on the floor for loose balls. Like just like there is an infectious positivity both to his personality and just his skill set, frankly, that I think this team needed. Like sometimes this stuff, and let me know what you think in the comments, because some of you have been watching basketball longer than I've been alive, but I genuinely believe there is a tipping point with certain teams in terms of good vibes versus bad vibes. And like one more guy who's just not playing super hard, not hustling, one more guy who you know is just not going to be able to hold his own in his matchup. And it is not only the points that guy directly gives up, it is the stress that creates across the board. It is, I mean, we see it with Brunson, and it happened in this game, and I'll talk about the early help that player has to get. And in turn, like the buckets that get given up because of that. It is the resentment across the board that fosters, whether it is a bad shot offensively or even if you're trying defensively, just getting absolutely abused on that end. And when you switch a guy who has some of that to a guy who can hold his own and is just supportive across the board on offense, it elevates the vibes. It elevates the energy of the team in such a way. And then when you get your stars like Brunson and Cat, who have not been playing super duper well offensively and have not been shooting the ball super well, saying, okay, I'm going to do everything else. I'm going to crash. I'm going to make an extra pass. I'm going to draw help and set you up for an easy layup. Like it is absolutely infectious across the board. And as this team wins its 6th straight game, as this team is playing like about as well as any team in the NBA right now, like I think you see the downstream effect of what Landry Shamet is bringing, and also just a collective decision to say enough is enough. Like we're all well paid. Expectations are rightfully extremely high. We got to the Eastern Conference Finals despite not really being optimized, just off of, to some extent, I mean, Jalen Brunson being amazing, but also pure pride, pure grit, that is still in there. But if you don't buy in, if you don't start building those habits, this is a Tom Thibodeau culture builder 101. Like, you are going to falter and you're going to get punched in the mouth and you're going to get embarrassed in round one. But it might not even get to that point, because as we approach the trade deadline and those Giannis rumors get louder and louder and louder, I think there was a realization in this locker room. If you don't put it together now, this isn't going to be the team. And for a couple guys, Mikal, Cat, you might not get a chance to do this in New York and on the Knicks again, and you might be shipped off to a Milwaukee or a Portland, good franchises, good cities, but not places where you're going to win a championship in the near future. And I think that has lodged in these guys' heads, and they made a collective decision. They could have given up. They could have said, screw it, F everyone. I'm not happy with this team. I'm not happy with the direction of this group. I'm done. And instead they bought in. And we are seeing the effect of that. And this team, frankly, they look like a title contender right now. Yes, they're going to need Cat to turn it around and shoot better and drive better. They're going to need, not that there's any doubt about this, but they're going to need Jalen to score the ball like Jalen. Like, a bunch of stuff still has to click in. And then they probably still need to find a way to make a deadline move that I don't know if they necessarily have the assets to make right now. But this team is starting to look how they are supposed to look. And this was a hell of a win for the New York Knicks. But when we come back, so much more to hit on. We'll talk about Jalen, Brunson, Josh Hart setting the pace, Cat doing the little things, OG Anunoby being awesome, whole lot more next right here on Locked On Knicks. But first of all, I'll tell you about our good friends over at Prize Picks. The big game is almost here. Now, there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And this week, Prize Picks has a special max discount for the big game. Live in the app right now, Drake May just needs one passing yard for the max discount to win. Add another player to your lineup. If your pick hits, you can cash in. Prize Picks is super simple to use. It takes no time to get started. The whole format is clean. Pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and it makes watching games even more fun because every drive and every stat matters. The social feeds feature is awesome. You can share lineups, even copy lineups from winners with just one click. And I love that you can follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade picks right from the feed. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. All right, we also want to get you guys ready for the NBA trade deadline with a special offer on our Everydayer Club. If you haven't already, go check it out. It includes access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Knicks, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app, and an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of the show. And all you have to do is head over to LockedOnKnicks.supercast.com to check that out for all the latest trade deadline discourse, or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. By the way, for the trade deadline, we're having the fantastic Jeremy Cohen of Knicks Film School on tomorrow, so be sure to check that out for a full breakdown of what we expect the New York Knicks to do at the deadline. But we have to dive deeper in the details of this one. I talked about pace. I didn't totally get into how the Knicks got into that pace, and it starts with Jalen, Brunson, and Josh Hart. Jalen, after I think I'm reticent to call Jalen Brunson not a team player, but there was an element of that during the Knicks losing stretch where things were faltering, guys were low energy, and when you're low energy, all of you probably know this in life, you generally default to your baseline, and you default to some bad habits usually. And for the Knicks, that was playing a lot of Jalen ISO ball and a lot of slow it down, walk it up, initiate offense with 14, 13, 12 seconds to go on the shot clock, and just no juice across the board. Tired team, beat up team. And now you are seeing just a constant effort to tilt games with pace. And that means pushing off of rebounds. That means outlets off of rebounds. That means Josh Hart getting to be Josh Hart. And like we saw it early on, like Brunson, I think second quarter, hits him, and Hart transition, push, flipping. Another leak out off a long miss three, and he beats Braun down the court by about an inch for a transition layup. Then you go to the third quarter where he ran off another miss three for free throws. This Lakers team, right? The Knicks have had trouble all year with teams that are athletic, young, spry. The Lakers at different positions, right? A little small, a little old, a little bit slow, and the Knicks punish them for that constantly. This was such a fascinating turn from when the Knicks played the Lakers last year, and I thought JJ Redick was about as aggressive as any coach in the league, hunting out Karl-Anthony Towns in pick and roll, hunting out Karl-Anthony Towns in drop defense, and making the Knicks hurt for their greatest weakness. And we just had a whole episode ripping Mike Brown. This is about as good of a game, I think, as Mike Brown coached all year, because he was extremely punitive to the Lakers for their defense. Part of that was in transition, and part of that, as we'll get into, was matchup hunting and or mismatch hunting, I should say, and going after the Lakers' weak points defensively. But one more Josh transition bucket, third quarter, sprints up the court off a make this time, throws it back to Jalen Brunson because nothing was there. Lakers had gotten back. But here's where pace can help you, even if it's off a make and even if the other team gets back. One, it's exhausting to get back on defense over and over again. It slows the other team down on offense a little bit, especially when they're an older team, especially when they're a team that's probably not in as good collective shape as you, especially when they're a team, similar school, right? They're built around Luka Doncic and a guy who wants to slow it down and doesn't particularly want to run and doesn't particularly want to leak back on defense. So on this particular play, Hart pushes, they're back. That's fine. Throw it back to Brunson, reset. Brunson attacks the scramble defense, drives, draws two. And Brunson is so good at this. Like last second, step through to buy an extra second to hold Luka. Then he slings it back to Hart. Hart all game long, super confident shooting the three ball, and he drains one. And this game was kind of a mixed bag for Josh in some other areas. I didn't think his defense was particularly good early, especially on the scale of some of the other Knicks. Like he is consistently the most guilty of any Knick of overhelping. Like he went under a smart screen, trying to protect Brunson from just switching onto LeBron, which is not ideal for the Knicks. Obviously, LeBron is really, really good playing out of mismatches and making the right pass. I understand it with him more than some other guys, just because he's a little smarter about punishing mismatches than some other players in the NBA. But again, I would generally just let Jalen switch there. And if LeBron shoots over him, LeBron shoots over him. But instead he goes under the screen and it's a wide open three for LeBron James. Another one in the third quarter, it might be the fourth quarter, where he overhelps. Yeah, I don't know if this is him or this is Brown, but heavy gap help on Luka, one pass away. LaRavia hits a three. That was actually in the second quarter. And then another one where he's just too smart and too experienced for this to happen. He's guarding Jared Vanderbilt, and he's doing what you're supposed to do because Jared Vanderbilt is one of the worst shooters to play rotation minutes in the NBA, and he's playing way off. He's playing on the block. Luka splits a double, absolutely toast cat out on the perimeter, and Josh never fully rotates to help. And I'm just mystified by that. You're there, you're in the right spot, step up, get in his way. Maybe it's going to be free throws, but at least try to make a play. Instead, Luka just walks in for a layup, and it was almost like he was trying to bait Luka into making the pass and still leaving himself room to recover. If it's Vanderbilt in the corner, you fully commit. Jared Vanderbilt makes a wide open three. You tip your hat every time there. But he also had some great defensive plays in the game. Like maybe the best one he had all year, where Brunson, like we talk about, like just the stars doing the little things. Brunson sprints back in transition, buys him a second, and Josh is able to recover to LeBron, chase down block, pin it on the backboard. One of the best blocks I've ever seen from Josh in his career. And then the fourth quarter, he capped off an incredible defensive possession by just smothering Luka Doncic at the end of a shot clock. Jalen Brunson, again, like this was a game where they at times overcompensated for his perceived defensive weaknesses, something XJ talks about a lot, something the Knicks cannot afford to do. Let Brunson switch, let him try to survive. There was a play where they didn't let him switch, but the rotation, and you can do this a little more, and this is where I don't totally hate it for Mike Brown. Again, Jared Vanderbilt's on the court. He's in the corner. You can survive that if your rotations are on point. But this time, the Lakers missed a shot, but the rotations playing out of not letting Jalen Brunson switch leaves Mikal to box at Aiden. Aiden gets an easy putback. But then Brunson from there made like a bunch of good hustle plays defensively. Like there was one where Mitch was very aggressive, doubling Luka on some post-ups in this game. And Vanderbilt cut off of Mitch doubling, and Brunson does a great job crashing down on Vando, stripping him. And look, if you're going to double, Like, and this is also, I'll give my guy XJ some credit again. This is something he talks about. This team isn't Oklahoma City. Like, you can do it a little bit more with Mitch on the floor because unlike Cat, he has an ability to recover. But everyone has to play hard. Everyone has to play on a string. And Brunson's buying into that. And he's saying, great, I'm going to rotate. I'm going to go up against a guy 8 inches taller than me and strip him. And we saw this from everyone. Like, I'll get to it when we go in depth on Landry Shamet's night. But he made plays like that too as a low man. Brunson did not shoot the ball well in this one. He was just 4 for 15 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, only 2 free throws, 12 points. But you know where he makes up for that? 7 rebounds and 13 assists. Like, that is a Josh Hart, you know what? I can't say the word, esque stat line for Jalen Brunson in this game. And it's all these little things that he do. Like, the Lakers blitz him, great. I'm going to get off the ball. Hit Mikal, hit Shamet for 3. Pushing off misses. Again, like he pushed and hit a floater off of one of them. Trying to hide Luka on Shamet, but he's distracted by Brunson probing. And then Brunson, again, doesn't force the issue. Hand off to Shamet coming around, sprinting into a 3. Matchup hunting after a scoreless second quarter for Brunson. Opens the third, having Hart screen for him to get Luka in the action, and he nails a midi. Next time down, mismatch hunting again. Mikal screens to get LaRavia on him. He toasts LaRavia on a hezzy, misses a layup, but it leaves Luka on Cat. Cat gets a putback jam. You go to the third quarter. Like, again, I mentioned like the pace. He set up hard for that 3 and then had this great sequence to end the third where the Knicks score 3 straight in transition. He on a leak out, drops one off to OG. Then OG gets a steal and a dunk. And then Brunson runs down a long rebound. And again, head up, push, lob to Shamet for a layup. And then to start the fourth, or maybe this was the end of the third too, double screen from Mitch. Mitch rolls. Mitch rolls, draws Hachi's low man help. Brunson cross court pass to Shamet for 3. Next play, Mitch screen again. This time Brunson drains a 3 himself. Next play, again operating at pick and roll. Hits OG for a corner 3, third in a row. Like, the way Brunson finished that third quarter, punch was just awesome. But we still got to talk Shamet. We still got to talk Cat. We still got to talk OG. A lot more to get to. Don't go anywhere right here on Locked On Knicks. But first, I got to tell you about our good friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy of the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. You can pull up the Game Time app, pick an upcoming NBA game, and you'll have tickets within minutes. I love seeing the all-in prices up front. No surprise fees at checkout. Very few things in this life upset me like surprise fees at checkout. You could be going, let's just say you want to get, I don't know, courtside seats, maybe not in New York, but maybe somewhere else. And you're buying for 4 or 5 friends, and you find reasonable tickets, and you get to the end, and all of a sudden it's $600 more than you thought it was going to be. That's going to really bother you. Not going to happen with Game Time. Being able to see the view from your seat before buying tickets makes the decision so easy, and the zone deals will really help you choose your seat because Game Time will pick them for you. So take the guess we're going to buy NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON. LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. We also want to remind you that this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. February can be a lot. Flowers, candy, stuffed animals, and so much talk about relationships. And it can honestly feel like everyone else has it together in their love life. But here's the truth. Whether you're married, dating, single, or just focusing on you, most people are still figuring it out. And no matter where you are on your romantic journey, therapy can help you find your way. It can help you get clear on what you want, what feels heavy, and how to take some pressure off yourself. It's easy to assume everyone has the perfect relationship, but most people are working through something. Therapy can help you recognize patterns that might be weighing relationships down. It can help you communicate better, set healthier boundaries, and stop carrying everything alone. BetterHelp has licensed therapists in the US, and they do the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your goals. And if you want to switch therapists, you can do that at any time. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BETTERHELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, we gave you the broad strokes of Landry Shamet's night, but I wanted to get into some of the details about how he helped this team win this game. He was really good defensively. I mentioned, like, same thing as Jalen Brunson, like being low man help. Like, there's a play where OG and Mitch were caught up on Luka. Shamet rotates and he forces Jackson Hayes to miss a layup. And some of those plays are going to be dunks, right? Sometimes Shamet's going to be too small. Brunson's going to be too small. But if you are blitzing, you have to rotate behind them. And the Knicks were getting killed early in this game because OG was on the ball. He was doing a terrible job, certainly by his standards, in screen navigation and getting caught up. And if OG's on the ball, and especially if he's getting caught on screens, but even if he isn't, and you have to put a second guy at the level in Cat, and it's 2-on-1, someone's going to get open on the short roll. And then if the low man help is Hart or Mikal and they're late, it's going to be dunks. And that's where the Knicks were just getting cooked early. And it's just about effort, right? Even if it's a smaller guy, a smaller body, you have to rotate. You have to be there. Shamet did a great job. He was consistently really solid defensively in this game. And then the energy plays we talked about, beating LeBron for an offensive rebound, leading to OG Anunoby free throws. And then Shamet driving, right? He had a probe that drew 2 or 3 guys, swung it out to OG. OG toasts the closeout, gets free throws. Like he's legitimately initiating offense, driving to score, like had this rip through on Gabe Vincent and flew past DeAndre Ayton for a tough layup. Like that's not something he really had in his game last year, or really in past seasons early in his career consistently. Like if that is an element that is there, you start to make those Dante DiVincenzo comps, right? Where he's not the same player. He's not as physically strong, but he's additive in a lot of the same ways as Dante DiVincenzo. I mentioned him sprinting as that dribble handoff. That was a great play. In the fourth quarter, he was the guy who helped put this one away. Like late shot clock, baseline out of bounds. He runs off a mid screen catch. Luka does a good job chasing. Shamet just better. Escape dribble, bangs a right wing 3. And then the dagger sequence. Brunson is blitzed. Shamet misses a 3 off it. OG chases down the offensive rebound. Hart misses a 3. Mitch gets the board. Shamet relocates. He's so deadly off of offensive rebounds. It's why it is so additive to have Mitch and Shamet on the floor together. That time he drains it. 109-97, 130 left. That was, for all intents and purposes, the ball game. But I've been talking about it a lot. I wanted to hit on Cat's night. Again, like not what you want offensively. 5 for 11 from the field. Takes 1 3, misses it. 1 for 2 from the line. Like, I don't want to sugarcoat that. That is concerning stuff. I know our guy Prez has talked about a possible athletic decline from Cat. I think it's probably more likely there's some injury we don't know about. Maybe it's emotional. I know Steve Popper pointed that there was just a lot of resentment there going back to the offseason, and certainly reignited with the Giannis trade talks. We'll see if it clicks into place from after the deadline. You certainly see the frustration with drives. He's about as poorly officiated as any player I've seen on the Knicks. He certainly doesn't help it with his reactions. Like all that stuff is real. All that stuff matters. But I look to the 5 offensive rebounds he had. I look to the 4 assists he had. I look to the 2 steals he had. All signs that Cat is doing the little things. And defensively, like again, after he was not really good early in this game, like just making hustle play after hustle play, like gets back in transition to cause LaRavia to bobble the ball and drop it out of bounds. Play where Mike Brown lets him switch on to Luka and trusts him, and Cat plays good defense, and Luka has an offensive foul and pushes off, and it doesn't get called, but Luka misses the shot. In the fourth, this was one of my favorite sequences of this entire game, where you're going double big, right? And that is generally an area where the Knicks are potentially going to get killed by a dominant alpha lead ball handler like Luka Doncic. Mitch shows in space on Luka to buy Hart time to recover. Cat is the low man, and he does that, right? He covers low, and then he has to pop up because now you have Mitch. Imagine Luka on the right wing. Mitch is there waiting for Hart to get back. Hart gets back. Cat comes up from the block. Mitch drops down as Luka lofts it to the opposite wing to LeBron. Cat is there. Cat is on him. Cat slides with LeBron. Mitch sinks back to Ayton, so that next pass isn't there. Cat stops LeBron. He has to throw it to Smart. Shot clock is dwindling, and Smart misses. And that's just great defense. That is great team defense. Another one where like he fell down after fighting with Smart for a rebound, and Cat gets back and he helps the Knicks get a stop. Like he's not sitting, he's not waiting on the other end. Like I give Cat a lot of credit. Like he has good reasons for his attitude. I know some of you don't buy this. I understand he's making $50 million a year to play basketball. There's no excuse for him to not play with maximum effort every time, but we've seen Cat sulk and not play hard in these situations. He's playing hard. He doesn't close the game, right? Mike Brown closes this game with the defensive first lineup, as he's been doing lately, right? He closes with Brunson, Shamet, Hart, OG, Mitch. And Cat says, that's fine. I'm going to cheer on my teammates. And Cat was as loud as anyone, smiling as big as anyone when Landry Shamet hit that late 3. That was great. And then some of the passing we saw from Cat. in this one. And he had some tough sequences right in the second quarter, like where he's missing open threes, missing layups, and he could have given up. And again, he continues to play hard. Like Mikal in particular did a great job cutting off of him. Cat hit him for a layup at one point. Then a couple plays later, great crash in transition for a putback layup. Play after that gets a putback dunk. After Laravia was on Brunson, and I mentioned that play where Luka couldn't box him out. Little later, second, maybe third, drive, foul by Ayton, blatantly, no call. He's upset. Next play, gets around Ayton again, gets a layup, fouled again, no call. That's fine. He keeps playing. Rebound, immediate outlet to trigger transition. OG cuts around him. Cat drives to protect the ball from LeBron, who knew OG was open, just gambled on it, slips it to OG, gets a dunk. Like those are Cat making little extra effort plays, and that is awesome. I don't want to bury one of the leads of this game. I am, because we're 31 minutes in and I haven't talked about it yet. But OG Anunoby, he is playing great basketball by and large right now. 25 points, 9 of 15 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 3 of 4 from the line, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals in this one. The one area you ding him, again, the screen navigation was not good, and it made me pull up his B-ball index screen nav grade on the year, and he is just a D. OG is someone who typically hovers in the A or B range in that area. That is a little scary in regards to where he's at athletically, and he looks more rickety getting around screens than he usually does. I have to assume that is OG keeping a little bit in the bank for the playoffs, and hopefully we see that tilt up come playoff time. He was certainly a lot better in the second half than the first half, and you saw him. He was not on Luka as much in the second half, and that really unlocked him to be the best version of himself defensively, even though he should be, again, about as ideal of a player to guard Luka and frustrate Luka as there is in the NBA, and he just wasn't, because it wasn't the one-on-one defense. He just couldn't get around screens. But second half, he's off ball, guarding LeBron a little bit more, beats Bron to a pass for a steal. Lakers out of a timeout, fought through a off-ball screen to shut down their intended play, which was to get it to LeBron popping on the left wing, and that ended up leading to a Lakers shot clock violation. They were completely discombobulated. That is just OG extra effort, fighting, getting off ball. They put DeAndre Ayton off him, and OG did a great job. Most of his work in this game, just like it was defensively, offensively was off the ball, but OG did a great job attacking that matchup. At one point, gets to step back, pump, step through, layup, another one where he drove Ayton for free throws a couple different times. Right in the third quarter, when Luka hit a big three, Lakers went up 75-74, snatch back momentum. He gets a steal, he gets a transition jam on a leak out, and then right after it, poke away from Luka, goes coast to coast for another dunk, almost single-handedly flipped the momentum back in the Knicks' favor. And then again, the off-ball defense, fourth quarter, and then crashes into a crowd to rebound Brunson's miss, elevates, gets a putback dunk with less than 3 minutes to go. Other end, strip smart, off ball, fences in, pokes it away. Elite off ball defense from OG Anunoby to wrap up this ball game. Mikal Bridges, quiet night, not a great night. 0 for 6 from 3, 0 rebounds, 2 assists, no free throws. Not really building off some of the momentum he's put together in recent games. Offensively, obviously against Portland, he wasn't good. Before that, he was against the Raptors. He was amazing. Defensively, off ball, I mentioned it before, but he just nailing a lot of the little subtle stuff, bailing Brunson out of bad matchups, recovering before the Lakers could make the next pass. His off ball defense has been good for weeks. I'm going to say months almost at this point. And he has been the one thing where a lot of other stuff has come unglued for the Knicks defensively. He's kind of been the one key keeping the Knicks together. And it's made a massive difference for them on defense. Offensively, the one thing he did really good, I mentioned, was cutting off ball. Certainly the highlight for him. Two of them, I'll say. One where Luka was hiding on Hart, and then was hiding on Mikal, and you go at it, right? He does an entry pass to Cat, cuts off it. Luka's slow. Luka's a little disinterested. And Mikal finishes hard with a dunk. And give me everything of that. Give me more of that. Fourth quarter does it again, where he has this great cut off a Kolek probe. Again, I think it was Luka on him. Up and under finish off of it. Lakers try to go zone, 2 on Brunson. Brunson pushes Mikal. He just motions him to go to the free throw line. Mikal gets there, drains the free throw line jumper. It was not a great Mikal game, but certainly some good moments. Last guy I want to shout out, last guy I want to mention, even though Mitch certainly had some moments. One Mitch play I wanted to talk about, because it was similar to that earlier one, where he switches on to Luka. Hart buys him a second and then rotates for the double. not necessarily what you want. But again, if the Knicks rotate out of it, they can play that way a little bit when Mitch is in the game. Brunson steps up onto Gabe Vincent. Shamet flies to the corner to take Hachimura. Mitch recovers in time to get back to the rim, to get a piece of his layup, and go the other way. And that's great defense for Mitch. And I mentioned the other interaction between him and Cat. We got a nice double big sequence where Mitch volleyballed a Hart miss off the backboard, and Cat ended up laying it back in. And then, of course, Mitch got the offensive rebound on the dagger sequence. Diawara, nice transition three, played some good defense when he was in. Tyler Kolek, really fun game from Tyler Kolek, I thought, in this one. 4 assists, 8 points, did not shoot the ball well, really forced the issue, like almost an overconfident game from Tyler Kolek, where you would, at least last season, you would say he had the exact opposite problem. And I guess that is better than the alternative. Took some bad shots, tried to go one-on-one at DeAndre Ayton. It did not go well for him, but just made some big plays. Like one where he had like this hezzy burst by Smart, Drew Ayton, nashed it, ended up like collecting basically 3 defenders on him, spray to OG drives, has this crossover to hold Luka for an extra second. Then he sprays it to Kolek, who cycled through, relocated to the corner, hit a smooth 3. His shot looks better. XJ described it as snappy on the last show. I think that's an apt description for Kolek's shot. Like it is quick. It is on point right now. He's looking really, really good. Shooting the ball, hit a ridiculous baseline fadeaway over Luka after Luka played perfect defense. Hit a big momentum 3 after he'd missed 2 straight in a row. And then maybe my favorite play of the game from him outside that relocation 3, where he drove sick ball fake on LeBron to hold him. Hachimura closed to try to swat him, and then just zips it to a corner. Hart shot the ball. It was the one thing I didn't mention with Josh, like really good, like late shot clock threes, late shot clock bailout drives. Josh, 20 points, 8 for 11 in this game. It was a great team effort. It was a great team win. The Knicks are playing fantastic basketball right now, and we'll have you covered with the trade deadline tomorrow with Jeremy, and then a whole bunch of games to get to. Hopefully the Knicks can keep this rolling right here on Locked On Knicks.